Welcome everyone to the fourth round of the FIDE Candidates 2026. We have Praggnanandhaa coming in with his second Vaibhav Suri as they come with great spirits and smile and laughter on their face. This is one of the main roles of a second. You not only have to help your player in preparation but also help him to be in good spirits. And this is a role that Vaibhav plays pretty well here. Although Prag lost his last round to Javokhir Sindarov, he needs to make a strong comeback now in this tournament. And today he faces Matthias Bluebaum, a very strong grandmaster from Germany who has had 3 draws in this tournament. The only player to actually hold Javokhir Sindarov to a draw in the first 4 rounds. Sindarov has 3.5 out of 4. So that's actually a great achievement for Bluebaum. And Prag here, he is on 1.5 points out of 3 and will be looking to play a good game. Not easy to play with the black pieces against Bluebaum, but we'll see what opening lies up ahead. A handshake here, and Bluebaum about to make his move. This, dear friends, is the ChessBase Mobile App recap of the day. Download the ChessBase Mobile App from the link in the description. Pawn to d4, Matthias's favorite move. He pushes his pawn forward, and Praggnanandhaa is thinking here, what should he play? He brings his knight out to f6. We have pawn to c4, and black plays pawn to e6. The knight comes out to f3, and it's going to be a Queen's Gambit declined or Bogo Indian. It's Queen's Gambit declined with d5. Bluebaum now brings his knight to c3. This has been seen many times before. Prag can go bishop e7, but he decides to play the semi-Slav with pawn to c6. And we have e3 played here. a6 by Prag, and he is trying to play something that has been already played against Bluebaum, Queen c2, and this line where you play a6 and then meet it with c5. So a loss of tempo with c7, c6 and c5, but it has been played before. Bluebaum takes. And what you are essentially saying is that because white has played this a little unambitiously with e3 and queen c2, you can lose a tempo. Pawn takes c5 is a new move by Bluebaum. Until now he's faced this position, he's always gone bishop e2, but now he takes bishop takes c5, and now he plays his bishop out to e2. Prag has the isolated queen pawn position here, and he brings his knight out to c6. If you look at black's position, very smooth development that he can do. On the other hand, white quickly castles here, and bishop e6 played. Is the pawn on d5 a strength or a weakness? You can put pressure on d5. a3 played here, and the plan is to go b4, bishop b2, which would be a normal way to play. Prag delaying castling brings his rook to the semi-open file with rook c8. Actually the open file. b4 played here by Matthias, and now Prag very accurately brings his bishop back to d6 on this very nice diagonal. We have bishop to b2, bringing the bishop here. And now Prag castles. Well, one of the advantages that white has is more space with a3, b4, But the downside is that now the c4 square is very, very loose. So a knight can eventually make its way to the c4 square. So Pragg can actually play many different ideas. He can go rook e8, bishop b8 and queen d6. He goes for a more simplifying idea with knight e5. And I think that this knight is very dangerous because it can go to c4. The other knight can jump to e4. There's a pin here. So Bluebaum rightly takes the knight. Bishop takes on e5. And now queen to d6 to attack the pawn on h2. We have queen b1 played. And now queen to d6, a nice move that Pragg plays. Bluebaum can go g3, but he decides to force matters with f4. The bishop is trapped, so it has to take the knight on c3. There is no other move. Bishop takes c3. And now after bishop takes on c3, the main point of this entire play is that you get this square on e4. Pragg does get his knight to the center of the board on e4. It's a beautiful outpost for his knight. And black can already dream about an advantage if he manages to trade the light squared bishops. So if this bishop and this bishop get traded like bg4 takes, then the knight on e4 is unshakable and it's very, very good. But I think it's very difficult to achieve that. Rook takes rook. Taken. I think Matthias has already understood that there is nothing much that he can do in this position, even though he has the bishop pair and he's already trading pieces. So rook c1, and this seems to be around equal now. I think a very good decision now is to just put your pawn on f6, and with this the bishop on e5 has to move. It's blunted on this diagonal, so bishop d4 maybe goes bishop b2. And Pragg now goes knight to d6. The plan is to put the knight on c4. Takes, rook takes c8. Queen takes on c8. And queen c1 played as well. You can trade queens here. But Pragg decides to put his knight on c4. I think a final decision here for Bluebaum. If he wants to play for something, he needs to play something like bishop d4. But otherwise, he can just simply chop off the knight with his bishop. He does that, and that is a very kind of a silent draw for here. How do we assess a game like this in a situation like Candidates? Well, on one hand, you can say that for Bluebaum, every draw is a decent result, considering that he is a lower rated player here in this tournament. But on the other hand, he himself has spent months preparing for the event, and he would definitely want to win this event, play for win, and so on. So taking all of that into consideration, I would say for Bluebaum this doesn't seem like a particularly great result, right? A draw without, where he couldn't push even for a move here. On the other hand, for Pragg, while objectively this is a good result, he is now 1.5 points behind the leaders if this game ends in a draw. And so that's a huge deficit that he has over Sindarov. And at some point, you may have to start thinking not objectively here, because the main objective in any way is to reach the World Championship match, that is to win this tournament. And this is what makes this tournament so exciting, that all players have one goal. There is no secondary goal in this tournament, that I want to gain rating, I want to finish second, I want to win prize money. All of this can wait for other events. But at the candidates, it's all about the first place, because the upside is so big. The stakes are so high. So bishop h3 played. He goes king d5. He plays his bishop to f1. The bishop goes back and forth. And it's a draw now. Pragg calls the arbiter and says he's going to play bishop h3 now. And a draw is agreed. So that ends the game between Bluebaum and Praggnanandhaa. A solid draw. The tournament keeps getting exciting and more interesting as games progress. But this game was not particularly exciting, but it was quite instructive for all the players with the black pieces. The way in which Pragg played, the way in which he traded the knights on e5, then all these little moves that he made in the opening, bishop e6, rook c8, led to a very, very solid draw. So that's a good day at work for Pragg, and hopefully the rest day he can recharge himself and come out stronger for the next 3 rounds that will be played.